What is the forgotten adoption option? Many are aware of infant adoption, where you hire an agency, often wait a long time, and spend tens of thousands of dollars. And then there's becoming a foster parent, where you may or may not adopt the children. But there is a third option, where you adopt children directly from the foster care system. I call this the forgotten adoption option. In fact, 30% of the children currently in foster care are adoptable, and you don't need to be a traditional foster parent to adopt them. Hi there, I am Marcy Bursack. After blogging my experience adopting a pair of biological siblings through the foster care system, people started asking me to explain the process to them. And it's difficult to navigate, but the families I mentor feel that knowing the barriers, the challenges, and what to expect has actually helped them persevere and pursue their dream of adopting. While I would love to have a really big family, adopting thousands of waiting children isn't exactly realistic, but I can teach you how. Whether you are trying to figure out how to get started or you're battling some doubts and fears, I'm here with resources you can use to discern if foster care adoption is the path for you. And if it is, I have practical tips and resources for you as well. You can find all of these resources, which include my blog, 3 books, an app, and a classroom lesson at forgottenadoptionoption.com. However you found this podcast, I am so glad that you did. I want to extend an invitation for you to reach out to me and ask anything on your heart. My goal is to help every waiting child be in their forever family. And that's why I host this podcast. Welcome to the Forgotten Adoption Option podcast. In this episode, we will learn tips for thriving as a second mother. Through a friend of a friend, I was introduced to Jodi Jackson Tucker during the pandemic. She's also an author and an adoptive mom, so mutual friend insisted we absolutely had to meet. Hey, Jodi.
Hi, Marcy.
This is so fun. I was recently on your podcast, so this is like a fun twist, which is exciting.
This is very fun.
It is. Okay, I am not making this up, folks. Jodi has 9 children. 9. 6 through adoption, and you've met many other guests who've had multiple children like that, so this is like such a delightful conversation. For 12 years, Jodi served as the global director of Orphan Sunday, which might sound familiar because Gary Schneider, the Vision Catalyst and founder of Orphan Sunday, was a season 3 podcast guest. You might remember that episode. Jodi later founded Second Mothers, which is a community for women who are foster mothers, adoptive mothers, and or stepmothers, hence Second Mother. So I'm really, really excited for you to meet Jodi and for her to share experiences and resources with us. So, okay, let's start off with your incredible family. You have 9 children. How old are they now? And of the 6 that you adopted, did you adopt them as infants, internationally, through foster care adoption? Tell us all about it.
Yes, all of the above. We blended our families. My husband and I married in midlife, and he had 2 children. I had 1 biological child and 1 who was adopted as a domestic infant. We later adopted 4 kids from Uganda, not all at the same time. And we have a son who is a long-term foster son who calls us mom and dad. He's not legally adopted, but we consider him a son. So it's never a dull moment with our family. Everyone's grown up now. The youngest is 20. And people are starting to get married and have babies. So the Christmas card just it's multiplying, which is a lot of fun.
How beautiful. And of your 4 that are from Uganda, are any of them biological siblings?
2 and 2. We have a brother-sister pair and another brother-sister pair. And they're cousins. They're biological cousins. So they all knew each other before they came into our family, which was wonderful. Yeah.
How cool that is. Okay,
yes.
So then what was it that, so you and your husband are having a blended family. You already have kids at that point. And so
yes.
what led you both to say, let's adopt, and then let's keep adopting?
Well, I just had dinner with my husband. We're recording this in the evening, and I was going over my questions that you had sent me at dinner. And I actually said to my husband, how would you answer this question? What initially led us to adopt and again? And he looked at me, he chewed his lasagna, and he looked at me and he said, TLJ. And I said, TLJ, what is that? And he said, temporary lapse of judgment. But he was joking, of course. But it does seem like a temporary lapse of judgment. Looking back, we never planned to have this many kids. um, really it was God just opening doors and breaking our hearts for what was going on at the time with orphans in East Africa. We had done some missions work there. And so we went to Uganda on a trip to visit the African Children's Choir that was affiliated with our church. And it's kind of like the rest is history because we came back from that trip. We were getting ready to have an empty nest. We only had one child left at home, and we had these empty bedrooms, and we were thinking about those children over there. We had seen, stacked in triple bunks in an orphanage of 600 kids, eating 2 bowls of porridge a day. And God just really broke our hearts. So we said we would adopt 2 children together. We were an older couple. We already had 4 kids. We thought if we're going to bring a Ugandan into our home, we should bring 2 so that they can have each other's culture.
Aw.
So we told the orphanage we would take 2. The orphanage director wrote and asked us if we would take 3.
Oh,
Yes. So we went for 2, came back with 3, and then found out about a lost brother. So that's how we ended up with 4.
wow. And
It
you
was
wanted
not a
two.
plan. It was not a plan. Yes.
Okay, so some people are wondering, Jodi, because listeners are, some are in the child welfare space, some are just wonderful people, and some are thinking, well, I thought I was too old to do this, or I've already raised children. Can you tell us how old you were when the second round of children came into your life?
Yes, old. Let's see, I was in my late 40s and my husband was in his early 50s. And because the adoptions took a while, and then we had our last adoption, that our son that we went back for, um, we were well into our 50s when he came into our family, and he has been an incredible, incredible joy and blessing to our family. He was 15 when we adopted him. He just made it under the wire with the age out limit for being adopted. So, you just never know what God's going to do. And at some point, we just gave up trying to figure him out and just went with what he was doing. So that's
That
how
is so beautiful. And some of our guests might remember Pam had come on. She was on the verge of an empty nest. They were going to downsize, and then she adopts 7 children.
Oh
And
my
so
word.
I think this whole idea of like, hey, if you're about to be an empty nester, you are like, that's another time to consider this. I think that's really cool, Jodi, that that's what you all did.
Well, those of us who are Christians and trying to live out the gospel and welcome the orphan and the widow and the stranger, there's this whole phenomenon in the United States that you're supposed to, quote, get an empty nest and, quote, retire. And it's just not, it's just not goals for us. We just want to keep serving and keep going as long as God lets us. And so we feel young and we have lots of energy, and we're very grateful for our family and now enjoying grandkids. So we're very, very thankful that we said yes. And sometimes we think, gosh, what if we hadn't said yes? So
That temporary lapse of judgment.
yes, your friend who adopted 7 now, that's a TLJ. I don't know. I need to meet her. But
Yeah.
I'm sure she's
Yeah.
grateful. I'm sure she's glad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so cool. And so how did your older children respond when you all were like, hey, so like, you remember how like we already had you all and like you're moving out? We're gonna get some more kids. And by the way, they're from all over the place. So how did that
Yes.
go?
I give them so much credit. They were so welcoming and really embraced their new siblings that we kept adding. And now they are thick. I mean, my kids love each other and they're very close. We have a family chat, but they also have a chat that the parents aren't in, which I'm a little annoyed about. But I know about it because they'll mention something and I'll be like, I didn't get that text. Because I'm sure it's so they can talk about us behind our backs or plan things they don't want to invite us to. But that's okay because I love how much they love each other and they're very, very close. And it's beautiful to see how they have bonded and connected. So we've been very fortunate in that regard, that our kids from the very beginning just wanted to love each other and embrace each other.
That's so good. I get that question a lot. Like, Marcy, I already
Yeah.
have biological kids. What do I do? So it's helpful to understand because I didn't do that. I don't have biological children. And so to hear how that
Yeah.
works for you is quite encouraging. So you started this organization, Second Mother, which has a really interesting name. And so
Yes.
can you tell us what it's about and like what led you to start this organization?
Yes. You know, as much as I've been describing the many, many, many joys of having a large, complicated family, I found myself as a stepmother, as an adoptive mother, as a foster mother, and the relationships were challenging. It's beautiful now, but we've been doing it for 15 years, but it was bumpy along the way. And um, kids who come from trauma, as I'm sure has been well discussed on your show, come with their own baggage, their own hurts, their own wounds, and I was struggling as a second mother in navigating that role. And I was really praying about, how could I describe myself? And it just struck me that I was the second mother to all of my children, except my one biological child. Um, and that term just resonated with me. And I started talking with other women in the same space. One of the things I mention is I started a little Facebook group with maybe 20 women, 20 to 30 women that I knew who had fostered or adopted. And it was for us to have our own little online place where we could support each other and put prayer requests. And that has become a Second Mother online group that has over 800 women in it, which again was not my plan. I never intended that. I don't try to market it. Women just keep joining it because it's a safe space where we can support each other, pray for each other. And there's a lot of women who are finding themselves as second mothers.
And Jodi, some of our listeners are either thinking, that's me already, or that's going to be in the future. What is your Facebook group called? How can they find it?
Yes. So Second Mothers online. Just go to Facebook and put in Second Mothers. There's a public page, which is just, where we put announcements and stuff. But you'll see that there's a private group. You'll see my face and my little turquoise glasses. And you can just ask to join the private group. And you just answer a couple of questions and in you go, and you can meet other moms there and get support on those hard days that we all have.
So good. So if you're listening to this podcast and you look at the thumbnail, that's what Jodi's face looks like with her cute turquoise glasses. I get to look at her right now. It's really fun, but you just get to hear the audio of this. And so what's really, really interesting to me. So one, you just mentioned that like you are all the flavors of second mother.
Yes.
So you're almost
Yes.
like, you're not just squared, you're like cubed. But then what's also interesting is that you provide encouragement and enrichment for all three types, even though you're like 3-in-1, there are different types of people that are second
Yes.
mothers as a group. Because it seems like they're kind of uniquely different situations, but in your situation, they're all things you're going through. So I'm curious, I imagine that these different perspectives actually have a lot in common when you're a second mother. Can you help us know what some of those common challenges are and needs that you hear women facing, and then how you kind of help them thrive through their struggles?
Yes. And Marcy, I'll tell you the biggest aha moment I had, and that was being in another country. Because I worked globally for the Christian Alliance for Orphans, I started meeting second mothers in other cultures, in other places. And it looks different. For example, say Africa, there's not a lot of formal adoption there, but there's a lot of kinship care where if a child is orphaned, they're taken into a family within the constellation of the greater family. But essentially, it's an adoption. After that point, those
Yeah.
become the parents of the child. The very first second mother event that I was invited to do outside the United States, I went to Romania. And at the end of the event, I offered to pray at the end if any women wanted to come meet me. I'd sign the Bible study that I wrote, and they started telling me their stories through a translator. And I realized I was hearing the same stories that I had lived and that you would hear in the US. The kids, whether they're Romanian or African or Asian, the process of a child losing one's first mother and bonding to a second mother is universal. And so the struggles that the women were going through are universal. And that was just a real aha moment for me to see that it's really about what goes on in the heart between the mother and the child, and that it's not really bound to our American way of adopting or any other way of adopting. And I later had other stepmothers come to me and say, I felt that way when I married my husband and I had to learn how to parent his children, or foster moms who are parenting children who hopefully will be reunited with their biological mom, if possible. All of these women are trying to love and attach to a child that they did not give birth to. And it is a unique experience because that child comes with a different DNA and a different set of expectations if they were an older child. And so opening your heart to a child that was not born of your body is something that many women are now doing. And it's really a shared experience.
That's interesting that you found this like commonality that isn't just
Yes.
because of the US or because of their country. Like it's really something you're seeing all around the globe. That's
Yes.
fascinating. And your work in of itself to me is just really intriguing because you've clustered, it's not like, oh, the adoptive mom. Like you've really clustered us all. And there is so much, like you've said, like universal kind of need
Look,
and
if you
experience
put all
there.
of you in a room, I can't get you to stop talking to each other, right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of these events, no one wants to leave because we have so much to say to each other. And it doesn't matter if it's a stepmom or a foster mom or an adoptive mom. We have all done something very, very beautiful, which is to open our heart and soul to a child that was birthed by another woman. And what we are trying to learn to navigate is, how do I honor her? How do I love her through my child? How do I love her directly? How do I honor her legacy in my child's life if the woman is no longer living? There's so many complexities to it. It really stretches you as a woman and as a mother. And I think that experience is what really bonds us, the uniqueness of that experience.
Yeah. That's so good. I feel like you've just kind of given us a glimpse of like, like there's such a hope to this whole part of our lives. And so I'm
Yes.
curious, in your work with second mother, how is your own personal experience as a mom on the different ways to be a second mother? How has that really informed the resources that you offer? Because you talked a lot about like you're listening and you're hearing, but how has your own journey kind of maybe helped you see things or identify some tools that you can share?
Yes. Marcy, what we try to do is to elevate other second mothers like you. Second mothers are a very dynamic group of women. Let me tell you, raising a child that came to you in an unconventional way is not for the faint of heart. Second mothers are strong, they're motivated, they're creative, and a lot of us are writing books, leading conferences, having podcasts. And so what I'm a like a shepherd. I like to collect people and get them all in the same room. And so I just thought, wouldn't it be so beautiful and amazing if I could connect all of these women? So we have a website where we try to feature women like you who've written beautiful books. We have a YouTube channel where I interview women like you and others
And
that
I'm on there. Thank you.
you are. We hold some events. Really, the bottom line is when I was struggling as a second mother, it was other second mothers that saved my life because they understood things that only another second mother could understand. I had friends who had traditional families and they wanted to be supportive. But when I suddenly had four grown Ugandan kids in my house that I didn't know, and now I was having to parent. It was other moms who had gone through that journey that really helped me the most. And we even formed a supper club with other couples who are adoptive parents. And we actually have been eating together one night a week for 8 years. I'm sorry, one night a month for 8 years
That's
now.
a long time.
We had no plan to do it this long. We've helped our each other as our kids have grown up, but it was because we were
Wow.
all going through foster care and adoption, and that was a safe place that we could share the journey without judgment, without condemnation, laugh about the things that only we could uniquely understand and really support each other. So I
That's so
love our
neat.
community. I love our community.
So neat. Maybe we could all try that out. Those of us listening are like, huh, we could invite people over for dinner. What a great way to like
I'm
meet
telling
people.
you, do it. You just need 3 other friends. You rotate houses. And so you only have to host a few times a year. But those women, they carried me. When we were in the deepest valleys, we could support each other. When we celebrated the highest highs, our friends tried for 5 years to adopt their son from foster care. It finally happened. We were all there that day in the courtroom. We were weeping. Our kids have had other serious challenges that we have walked through together. It's been beautiful. Do it.
There you go. Jodi told you. Hey, I'm personally wondering if you've ever had like a Ugandan themed dinner menu at one of these 8 years
Oh, of
together.
course. Of course. And we have Ugandan Thanksgiving at our house. Like we have turkey and then we have like chapatis, which is the main
Tell us
Ugandan.
what that is.
It's like a tortilla, but African style.
Is there a meat
Delicious.
inside?
There can be, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
What do you put in yours?
Chicken or beef. My kids make it. It's fantastic. So Ugandan food is very delicious. I don't know how to make it, but thankfully my kids do.
People are gonna be like, what Jodi? What's her address? We're gonna come
Yeah.
over for dinner to try this all out.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, you're making me hungry, even though we both just had dinner. So in April, which is just around the corner, you're actually hosting an event called the Renew Retreat. And I'm curious if you can tell us about who this is intended for, where we can find information, because you talk about convening these
Yeah.
women. So I'm imagining this is for women that are second mothers.
Yes. Same theme like my supper club, but expanded much bigger. In fact, it was the supper club that I first thought we should do a conference. I said to my friends, and you're all going to help. During COVID, parents were struggling so much. And I just remember thinking we have to do something to help parents because kids were at home, they were out of school, they weren't going to therapy. And, foster and adoptive parents were climbing the walls. And I thought, let's have a retreat where parents can get away and be loved on and filled with the love of God and support each other. And so it started small. We had great other examples to copy. There's been some conferences in other parts of the US. There's one called Refresh on the West Coast. There's a couple in the Midwest where you live. There's one called Replanted. There's one called So I thought, well, we'll do Renew. So, and my sisters and brothers who plan those conferences, they know I copied all their good ideas. And
It's a good artist.
yeah. Yep. So we started Renew. We try to make it more retreat and less conference. So we have prizes, we have free haircuts, we have massages, we have delicious meals. We have a lot of time in worship and prayer. We connect you to other people who geographically live near you. We just do everything we can in those 2.5 days to just pour into you as much as we can. And parents loved it. And so it's grown every year. This year, I'm very excited to say we moved to the coast of North Carolina. So if you live on the East Coast, please come. But even if you live anywhere else in the
Even if we don't, it sounds like you just said ocean. Is that right? Beach, ocean.
That's right. Yeah. If you want to look at the water, we have a beautiful host church at the coast of North Carolina, and it shares the parking lot literally with the hotel. So you can park and not even get back in your car. You don't have to sit in the carpool line. You don't have to drop kids off anywhere. And it's a gorgeous historic coastal town, and registration is open and filling up quickly. because it's just gotten very popular. We have one mom wrote me and said, "We're coming back for the fourth year." And we're so
Wow.
excited because it's become such a highlight for my husband and I. We do have both men and women at Renew.
That's what I was going to say, because I was like, you said
Yes.
second mothers, then you said parents, and people are
Yes.
like, Marcy, can I bring someone with me?
Yes,
Okay,
you
okay.
can. Yes, you can. When I got this idea, my husband was like, please, can we do something for the dads? Can we have it be open to men as well? Because women are so much more frequently gathered in this space, you know? And even when we're together, we talk and we connect and we hug and we cry and we do all those things. And, you know, the men are like standing there staring at each other going, hey, you know, so we have lots of stuff for men. So if you're listening and you've been to adoption conferences, but you've never felt like there was something for your husband, or if you're a single dad or whatever your situation is, come on down. We have dads who help run this thing, and they do lots of crazy, wacky stuff that I would never plan planning a women's conference. But there's a lot of opportunities to blow off steam and to really have a great time together. Last year we did axe throwing. We're not doing axe throwing this year.
Wow.
To give you an example, so
And this is, you said 2.5 days, but this is like a Thursday, right?
it's
Is that
a
right?
Thursday. It starts Thursday night. It's really all together 2 days, but it starts Thursday night. It goes all day Friday and then Saturday morning. And since we're at the beach, if you want to stay over for the rest of the weekend, you can. So
Ooh,
yeah.
nice. I'm just thinking people like me that might not be as local. That's just like a day off work if you can somehow travel
Yes,
Thursday
that's your
and
day
get
off
there.
work.
Yeah.
Travel Thursday evening. Thursday evening is like an opening reception. We have comedy. We have a musical sing-along. Pick up your packet. Last year we had a silent disco. These women and men, they
Did you
had
say a silent disco?
silent
What?
disco. Silent disco. Have you seen it? You put on a headset and you pick your song and then you dance and you're the only one who can hear your music and you lose your mind. It's the greatest. It's the greatest. So,
Okay, clearly our listeners like Jodi sounds like fun.
oh yes, it's all about fun.
So great.
Yes.
If nothing else, we're all going to see some hopefully photos of all this and really, yeah, vicariously. It sounds like so much fun. So, Jodi, now that we've all felt just really intrigued by your work and know where to find a good time to both get away with our spouse and also just have a great time, I'm curious. So, as I mentioned, our listeners, some of us have traveled through the adoption path. Some of us are thinking about it, or we know someone, or we work in the space or with kids that have been impacted by the foster care system. I'm curious, what encouragement would you leave us with, whether we're on a journey as a second mother or we know someone? You just know so much in this space. You're living it, breathing it, doing it all around the globe.
The encouragement I would leave you with is the Lord sees you. He really does. He sees you. And your work is not in vain. You are living out the gospel every day in your home. You don't need to go on a mission trip, sister or brother. Your home is your mission trip. And every day you are reflecting that mission in your family. And as your family grows, like mine has, it becomes a really beautiful thing. And your kids will be on that journey with you. I know probably right now you might be going through really hard times. The kids might be having behaviors. Things might feel like they're spinning out of control, but you did this for the right reasons, and the Lord sees you and he honors what you are doing.
Even if it was a temporary lapse of judgment.
Yes, that was just a joke.
But sometimes not thinking through all the pieces and you know, you don't always know what you're getting into when you get into this space. You kind of just have to go with it.
We did not know what we were getting into, but we're so grateful we did it anyway. And, you know, his grace was sufficient for us, and we're so glad.
So good, Jodi. So glad to have you on. I feel like this was just such an invigorating conversation, met with some good ideas about how to convene people for dinner, knowing that you've got some great resources for it. It's an online community as well as through a retreat. So thank you so much for what you're doing to convene people, to help us feel cared for and seen. Really appreciate you, Jodi.
listeners, did you know that you have helped the Forgotten Adoption Option podcast rank in the top 30% most followed podcasts on Spotify? You are helping waiting children be seen, and you're teaching our nation how to adopt these children. You can help this podcast reach more future adoptive parents by leaving a review and continuing to share this podcast with others. You can even help others know that instead of Googling to try to figure out how to adopt through foster care, they should go to ForgottenAdoptionOption.com, where they can learn the step-by-step process, tips for enduring the journey, and I even have a children's book to celebrate the forever families all around us. It means so much that you took time to listen to this episode, and on behalf of the 113,000 children who each has a name, a story, and dreams, and deserves to grow up experiencing the love and support that is found in a forever family, I thank you so much for caring.